Yes, I'm here.
Great. James Brock? No. Ken Jones? Lindsay Edwards, I saw. Roger, I saw. Susan Tucker, I believe I saw. Jay Cunningham, are you on? Jay? All right. Sally Riddle, are you on?
Yes.
Okay, great. Barkley Russell, are you on? Okay, Marty Williamson. And Jean Lewis, I think I saw.
I am here.
Great. Okay, if you've just joined us and if you didn't let me know you were on, can you do so now before we get started? Okay, I'll check back a little bit later in the meeting so that we are sure to count everybody. All right, well, welcome to the first meeting of the SPLOST Oversight Committee for 2021. I don't believe we have any new members at this point, but with several new commissioners, that certainly can be changing going forward. Our first item will be to approve the minutes from our November 19th meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
All
Jay,
right.
second.
Okay, hi Jay.
Jay.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we will have a voice vote to approve the minutes. Aye.
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 All right. Any opposed? Please unmute yourself and let us know. All right, hearing none, then the minutes are approved unanimously. And we will move on to the Finance Department.
Okay, just give me a second to get that up, please.
Okay.
Okay, whenever you're ready, Finance.
Okay, is Finance on? Finance. Does anybody know if they're having technical difficulties?
Let me double check. Hang on just a sec.
Priscilla just messaged that her microphone's not working. She's working on it.
Oh, okay. Do you think we should move on to Marietta or wait?
I think it's fine to move Marietta.
Priscilla's gonna come in and use my computer.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. So our expenditures to date are approximately $698 million. And that is with our collections to date being approximately 741 million, which is about 190 million over our projection.
That's great. Any comments or questions for finance? Y'all are really quiet today. All right. Appreciate the update, and we'll move on, I guess, to City of Marietta.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi.
Go ahead and go to the third page, next page. There we go. 11 SPLOST, go through, let me just hit on several of these projects here now as we're beginning to move forward. It's been kind of slow as we've been moving through COVID, but we're beginning to ramp back up now. The Rottenwood Creek Trail Phase 1, we're in right-of-way acquisition or just getting right-of-way acquisition now. We did receive a matching grant from GDOT for the right-of-way acquisition and engineering work, so we're beginning that now. So that project is beginning to move forward a little bit. So we're working on that one. I believe I said last time the North Marietta Parkway and Cobb Parkway project was completed. We did complete everything on it and got our final funding back, our reimbursement back from GDOT on it. So that one is completely completed at this point. The Fairgrounds Streetscape project, we're in utility relocations right now. We're scheduled to advertise that project for start, or advertise it next month with project start date, hopefully sometime in March, early April at the latest. So you'll begin to see that project get started as well. And then our big project that we have going on, or we'll get started, will be the Powder Springs Streetscape, which, in case you don't remember, you're unfamiliar with it, is running from South Marietta Parkway down to Sandtown Road. We've received our signal permits, and encroachment permit is almost complete from GDOT. We're still working on some utility coordinations, but right now we are scheduled to advertise this in February, March. It says March, April, but right now it looks like it's going to be late February, early March, with construction to start soon thereafter. So we'll have two major projects underway this spring. We'll begin seeing a lot of activity around here with some transportation projects as we move forward. So those are the major ones there for 2011. If anybody's got any questions, I'm happy to answer anything on the 2011 SPLOST.
Just a clarification of an acronym. What's EDP?
EPD is the Environmental Protection Division. That's where we have to get environmental approval for any project that we do that involves right-of-way or anything like that, but especially when it involves GDOT, they have to have the EPD division to sign off on that. And so that's just a process we have to go through, which since GDOT's already reviewed this project multiple times, we are not expecting any issues from EPD at this point, but we do have to go through that process.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions for Marietta?
Okay, then I'll move to the 2016 update. Last two pictures there we've already talked about, but I'm moving to 2016. Finance has already kind of told you we've received for 2016 more than what we have spent so far, which we're doing good on that. So our finances are holding strong at this point for the 2016 SPLOST. Go ahead and move to the next slide, please. And the next slide. These are some of our projects that we've completed since the last time we met with you. We've completed our intersection improvement at Sawyer Road and Canton Road. Also, Kennesaw Mountain Gap Trail project that we had over on Monjay. We have completed that now. We also had a major drainage pipe repair and pipe relining over on Allgood Road there at the corner of Allgood and Cobb Parkway. So we've got that one completed. We had another drainage repair and upgrade over on Church Street right off the square. So we got that completed. Hickory Drive was during our resurfacing this past summer. We had some issues there with the road being very soft, so we had to go in and do some stabilization with some more base work, and so that was that project. Spring Hollow Culvert, you see the picture there on the right. That was a complete drainage pipe culvert collapse, and it needed to be rebuilt, so that pipe had to be replaced across the road, and the culvert and downstream there had to be rebuilt and stabilized. So that was that project. Roswell Street streetscape, that was a project between Atlanta Street down into Waddell. If you've not been off the square yet, that was right there off the square. That was actually completed late summer last year, so we have got that one completed. And then our Bellmead Bridge stabilization, we had some issues there underneath the bridge where it was deteriorating, so we have gone in now and stabilized the bridge without having to replace it at this point, but we do have it stabilized and repaired. So that's that completed project. That takes care of the completed project list. Next slide. These are our active projects that we have going on right now. The first two we're working with Cobb County on is the Burnt Hickory Road Trail, which runs from Whitlock over to Kennesaw Mountain Battlefield Park on Burnt Hickory Road. And then the bridge replacement over on Old 41 across the railroad tracks. Again, Cobb DOT is working with us on those and really taking the lead for us on those two projects. Then several that we have in concept, just general, but the next project that I'll talk about will be the Kennesaw Avenue Streetscape project. Council finally signed off on the design of that one, and that one is being advertised, just completed advertising. Actually, we're in the process of analyzing the bids and getting the contract awarded on that one. So that project will begin probably sometime in late February at this point. The Lakewood and Monjay intersection improvement, it says redesign there. That project should be bid by the end of this month. And then we have a couple other intersection that we're working on that will be designed and bid later on this late spring, early summer, which is Allgood and Merritt Road and Allgood and Scuffle Grit. Again, both of those are intersection improvement projects. The Cherokee Street, I'm sorry, projects there at Sessions and Fryer, I'm sorry. We are working to package those as part of our a traffic calming project that's not on this list. It should be, but over on Seminole Drive, since it's all in that same area, we're going to package those all in one package. Probably late spring, early summer at this point, get those out and try to get all that done at one time. Polk and Stewart, traffic calming, we're in design at this point. Probably summer at this point before that actually starts construction for the traffic calming for that. And then the last one I'll mention there will be Roswell for Lakewood to Olive, which is in front of the hardware store there. We're in right-of-way negotiations at this point. As soon as we can get that finalized, we do have a plan developed. So as soon as we get the right-of-way negotiated out and purchased, the plan is to get that project underway so we can that little bulb out there as you go down Roswell, we can get that eliminated and complete and have the complete 2 lanes all the way down that section of Roswell. And last item I will mention, under capital improvements, our Public Works Phase 2 building renovation is well underway on construction. Target date for completion of that is the end of February at this point. So looks like the contractor will hit that date if nothing major happens between now and then. So that's all I have for the 2016. I'll be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any for 2016.
Any questions? All right. Nobody seems to have any questions for you. So thank you very much. And we will move on to Austell.
Thank you all.
Hey, this is Rachel Yarber with the Finance Department at Austell. Our total SPLOST budget was $6,725,000. You can see on that first slide right there, the transportation is the bulk of that, about 60% with the original budget, almost $4 million. We'd previously spent about 2/3 of that. So we started this 6-month period with a little over 1.2 million. From July through December, we'd spent just $156,700, leaving us with just over 1.1 million. On the following slide, okay, there you go. You can see the breakdown of where that money was spent. It's primarily resurfacing and sidewalks. That's what 50% of our transportation budget was for. And that's mainly what we spent. We did do some sign replacement and upgrades. The following slide shows the specific roads that were resurfaced, where we installed the sidewalks, more specifics about how that money was spent. And the next slide actually gives you a visual of those. You can see that several of the things we did was for ADA compliance. Also compliance with the reflective signs. That's an ongoing project that we've been doing throughout the city. The next slide is future projects. Those are the ones that we have just in the next 6 months to 1 year. Various roads for resurfacing, striping, sidewalk installations, and drainage projects. And we have a lot of equipment to purchase, and that will take up a lot of the remaining budget in the transportation department. The next slide is public safety, and I have Chief Sterrett and Captain Henson with me. If anybody has questions about those, the remaining public safety money that we started with has all been spent, reported on. We've already reported to the committee. These are the only 2 line items that we had any money remaining. And this year, or the past 6 months, we purchased 3 patrol vehicles and the equipment to outfit them, as well as a new radio. It was roughly $140,000. You can see in that last column, we still have about 50,000 left in patrol and almost 30,000 left for radios. And that is what we have left to spend for public safety. So if there's any questions, hopefully I can answer, or the chief or captain can.
Hello, good afternoon. This is Lindsay Edwards, and thank you for that. Just quick question on the new vehicles. I know there was an initiative before from, I believe, the Cobb County's office to include some of the license plate readers on the newer vehicles they were acquiring. Have you all instituted that with the new vehicles, and do you coordinate with Cobb County on that?
We do coordinate, Chief Sterrett, we do coordinate with Cobb County. We didn't purchase any license plate readers on the new vehicles, only because we've had license plate readers installed throughout the city. If you enter our city on the east side or west side or north side or south side, you have license plate readers. Those readers on the poles are connected to the computers in our cars, so they alert all of our officers that way. We felt it was a lot better that way. If you've ever been in a car with a license plate reader constantly going off, dink, 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 and it's always showing you something. So we've kind of narrowed it down to the major offenses, and it's doing the same thing, only it's not taking up space in the car.
Got
We
it.
would like
Thank
to
you.
have them in every car, don't get me wrong, but for the cost of them and the complexity of it and everything, it feels like that's working out best now. We're looking at putting on a traffic unit next year with 2 men in it, and we will definitely try to install them in those 2 cars.
Thank you.
Anything further for Austell? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will move on to Parks.
Okay, hey, this is Tom. I'm Tom Bills, everyone. It's good to be speaking with you again. April, I would like to try out our. I'm going to request to be able to annotate. This is a new one for me, so bear with.
You've got it, Tom.
Okay. Hang on. Let's see. Sorry about this. I wanted to be able to point at things. And all I got is a pointer. So this will work. Can everybody see my pointer? Forgive me here, Al. This is a new one for me.
It's okay.
So if you click the same arrow, Tom, that on the left-hand side, once you click that, it'll give you the option between the arrow and the red laser pointer. You can choose either one.
Laser pointer's grayed out, however, so I'm just going to do this, if that's okay.
Okay.
Can you see this, everyone?
We can only see once you click.
Okay, and that just puts my name everywhere. Okay, sorry about this, Al. I'll do my best to describe things, and then maybe I'll just point as we go. So this is our 2011 SPLOST pie chart. You've seen this many times in the past. There are a few projects that we're finishing out, and I'll show you a couple now. Next slide, please.
Sorry, just bear with me. I've got to try to do next slide while annotating. There we go.
Okay, so this is the Felton property. This is on Johnson Ferry Road, just north of Paper Mill Road. It's about an 18-acre property. I think I've shown you this one before. There was a house there that was falling into disrepair. There's no real plans for this to become a park, but it is county property that we want to have people be able to safely access. And so the structure here from this older GIS photo has been demolished, and the remainder of the project is to put a boundary fence all the way around, and that's the blue line, all the way around at the request of most of the neighbors. In order to do that, however, the photo on the right shows the typical condition along that boundary. So there's some old fencing, and there's quite a bit of material grown up in the woods, et cetera. That we need to clear out so that a fencing contractor can get in and install the fence. So we're working on that now. The weather has not been cooperating very much on that. So I think I'm a co-host now. And sorry, I'm still working out the annotating thing so you can see what I'm pointing at. Well, okay, can you see that? I have an arrow moving around my screen. At any rate, Felton, that's all I have to say really about Felton. We're trying to get good weather so that we can clear a path for a fence or a boundary fence. People will still be able to walk in there, but there's no plans or funding to turn that into, to put an amenity or anything like that in there. But there was a request to make it more secure. Next slide, please. This is at Wild Horse Creek Park in Powder Springs. The Atlanta Hawks had come to us a while back with an offer to fund an outdoor tennis court, or sorry, a basketball court. It's located just north of the tennis courts in a parking near the recreation center. Now this is an actual drone shot. It looks to me like I stuck a Hawks logo, et cetera, on this photograph, but this is what it really looks like. It's a pretty impressive thing. It's a basketball court that's open for open play. The Hawks funded a firm called Court Dreams to actually construct and put the surface on the court. But we used a little bit of remaining 2011's SPLOST money at dedicated to Wild Horse Creek Park to do the grading. In fact, did the grading. We paid for sidewalks, the lighting, and the fencing around it, and it's been extremely popular. It's an excellent addition to the neighborhood. Next slide, please. Now we're moving into 2016. We have almost 90% of our projects completed. 5% are still under construction, some still in design, and then future projects we're just waiting for some little bit of direction there. Next slide. I'm not sure if I showed you all this in the past. We were working on a signage and kind of a parks branding project that is almost complete. We're just working out the last few details. This is the first sign, in fact, the only sign that we've actually had for the entrances. But the program it takes into account everything we could think of in terms of different kinds of signs for different kinds of parks, wayfinding signs within the parks, et cetera, et cetera. But this is the one this is the first one we've done. And can you see my pointer? I wish I could point at things. Yes, no? Anyway, sorry?
I don't see a pointer.
I still can't annotate. Okay, so at any rate, and this sign is the style that we've chosen for our passive parks. So this is the one at Discovery Park at the Riverline, obviously, and we took this picture and then immediately covered it with black plastic because the park's not open. But it's the type of sign that would be at a passive park, and the little circles. I hope you can see those. It shows that there's it shows some of the attributes of the. Let's see. Let's try that one. Can you point that?
Yes.
Okay, here we
see
go.
your pointer.
All right, there we go. So in that line, you can see there is a restroom. There are hiking trails. There's binoculars here that show there's bird watching or nature watching. There's an historic component, and this last one it's kind of hard to see, but it shows that there's interpretive signs there. One of the things that we really like about this is the contour at the top. Those are the shapes you see are the elevation, the sort of side view of the 5 tallest peaks in Cobb County. So this is Kennesaw Mountain, this is Sweat Mountain, this is Lost Mountain, Blackjack Mountain, I think, and Pine Mountain, which kind of disappears into the shadow here. The fire marshal likes us to have street numbers on them, so that's there, our logo, et cetera. So we're pretty happy with the way these signs are going to look. Hope you agree. The next slide, please. It's a good lead in to talk about Discovery Park at the Riverline. This one is almost complete. And this picture here, I like this because it shows you where it is and how close it is to the river. This is the Chattahoochee River here, and it goes from upstream at the top of the photo, heading downstream. This is Nickajack Creek as it comes into the river, and everything you see in that corner is the park. So you can see how close it is to the river. It's hard to get to the river from the park because of it's grown up quite a bit, and there's a pretty substantial wetland area that separates the two. But for now, anyway, everything that you see going up that hill is going to be accessible from the parking lot, which you can see on the next slide. So on the left, you can see Discovery Boulevard with a one-way in, parking for 2 buses, about 20 cars. There's a little restroom here hiding in that corner there, and then a one-way out there. The trail system goes through here up to the surviving earthworks and views of the river in the wintertime anyway, and lots of nice of hiking up there at the top of the ridge. To the right is one of the overlooks that we've installed. There'll be when we're done, there'll be a bench or 2 there, and an interpretive sign that shows kind of what you're looking at. That gives you a sense of what that park will be like. Next, please. I think I showed you this when we first got started on these roof replacements. We have a category in our SPLOST program called General Park Improvements, and one of the things we can do with those funds are to replace roofs of existing buildings that need a new roof. And so this is one that these projects are all done. So I've got a couple pictures that show this one's in when it's under construction early last fall. This is at Harrison Park in the concession building. And all of these buildings all 25 buildings in 14 different parks had either 3-tab or architectural shingle roofs, asphalt shingles that were needed to be replaced. And we replaced them with standing seam metal roofs, which will last 50 years. So I'm not saying the buildings will last 50 years, but it'll certainly extend the life of the buildings they're on. It's mostly for our smaller buildings, some concession stands, pavilions, that sort of thing. So this one's at Harrison Park. The next slide shows a couple of pavilions at Lost Mountain Park. The one on the left is the Upper Hub, Pavilion number 2 at Lost Mountain, and the one on the right is the Lower Pavilion at the Lower Hub. You can see they're existing older buildings that now have brand new roofs, so they'll continue to become even older buildings because they'll last a lot longer with a nice new roof. This was an excellent contractor, and they just did a really good job, kept to their schedules. High quality materials that we spec. They had no trouble putting them all on, and this has been a very successful project. Next slide, please. This is a project that we're doing at Fuller's Park in East Cobb. We have a joint project with the school district that we're concentrating on parks that have a connection to the school system. And in this case, this one's at Fuller's Park, where it's traditionally this field at the bottom has been the home for feeder teams for Walton High School, football and lacrosse. And the outfields of the existing East Cobb baseball association, there's some youth fields down there. They all kind of share this space. But now we've taken that entire area, kept the 2 baseball fields with that you can see, obviously, that you can see there the diamonds there. That's all synthetic turf, so it's a little bit shorter and brown that indicates the infield, and the rest of it is regular length athletic field. It's lined for lacrosse, but will be used for, you can use it for football. The football team is only going to probably use it a few times a year. And they've agreed, rather than having so many lines that looks like plaid, they have agreed to use to paint lines, field markers lines that when they need them, we're using the kind of paint that after a couple of rainstorms it disappears. The engineer on this one was Gaskins, right up the road from us. Advanced Sports Group, again another contractor that's done a very good job for us. It is almost done. This picture was taken a few weeks ago, before all that. In the meantime, there's been sod that's been laid down, and we're almost done. We have a few little things to do. The next slide shows a couple of weeks ago we went out at 0 dark 30 in the morning and turned on the new LED lights that were part of this project. You can see we need to aim them a little better. They install the lights, and then they'll come back when the park is almost done. The field is almost done, and aim them. There's some hot spots you can see. And some dark spots you can see, but when they're properly aimed, it'll be evenly lit all the way across for all the sports that might play there, and the folks in the houses nearby won't be able to do shadow puppets on their deck. These lights are much more easily aimed and directed than the lights we had there before. We had to move several of the poles too. So this is one of those projects that the change is remarkable. It's very impressive, and I think people are really going to like this. Next slide, please. Okay, this is one of those projects that it takes a lot of planning and a lot of engineering and a lot of money, and when it's done, you can't see that we did anything because it's all underground. At the top of the picture here is the Jenny T. Anderson Theater, holds about 600 people. Civic Center next to that holds a couple thousand people. Central Aquatics, hundreds of people, many hundreds of people during a swim meet. The Gymnastics Center, again, 100 people or so. And the restroom at the bottom, 2 people. But when you go into those buildings and wash your hands in the sink or flush the toilet, all of that water and waste used to go into one 6-inch diameter terracotta pipe that's been there since for a long time. And it was, we never really had any disasters there, but we wanted to avoid any disasters. So we installed a new 8-inch sanitary sewer pipe that connects them all with the existing pipes that come out of the buildings that attach to the new sewer line. 11 new manholes all the way across. This picture was taken back on a rainier day back in the early fall. If you go to the next picture, it'll show from the opposite direction what it looks like when it's done. So you can see where it's from the Civic Center, and here's the Civic Center to the theater. We had to cut some concrete, go across a grass area, across the parking lot, some more grass, et cetera, all the way down to Glover Street. So this is one of those projects that you couldn't see any difference, any real difference above the ground before and after, but it is an excellent, excellent project. Again, a good contractor, Unity Construction, and this one is complete. We permitted this one through the city of Marietta, so we appreciate their help. And the next one, please. I think I've shown you a couple of these as well. We're about 30% done with the installation of our security cameras at our facilities. This one shows the coverage inside and outside of our parks admin complex, which is our main office building, and then our shop, with coverage of all our storage and vehicle and material storage out and back. And the next slide shows what it looks like this is on Michael's computer. He selected a few camera alignments from pointing to the back of our facility that shows via our barns and storage areas, et cetera. This records and holds the recordings. You can see it in real time, but the Parks Department doesn't have access to the recordings. We would only want to look at those if there's something to look at, and typically that would be something that would have public safety involvement, and all the data is inaccessible by parks. It's kind of like the license plate readers that we talked about last summer that were installed. They're in our parks, and they help to keep everybody in line and safe, but we don't have access to the data. It's all in support of a public safety effort. And one more slide. These are what we're currently working on. Old Clarkdale Park, and it's sort of halfway between Powder Springs and Austell. That one we have design and engineering complete. It's permitting underway. We're going to be able to. It's almost through permitting. We're going to be able to advertise that for construction in the next couple of weeks, and construction will start when we get bids back and contracts signed and all that. Violet Stout Park in Powder Springs is about 60% done with design. We're almost done with that one as well, and again, it'll follow the same path towards a selection of a contractor and completion there. I mentioned before we have a category called general park improvements. When we finish the Larry Bell sanitary lines and the roofs that I talked about, et cetera, we still have some funding left there. So we're evaluating the next round of things that we can do in our parks in those categories: utilities, roofs, lighting, and plumbing upgrades. There's a number of things that are competing for that, but we'll be picking those out fairly quickly. The Terrell Mill Park synthetic turf conversion is the continuation too of the Board of Education funding that I talked about before with Fuller's Park, and we'll be able to do one or two or maybe three of the softball fields that are over at Terrell Mill Park. You might recall we converted a soccer field over there to turf in an earlier project, and now the other ones will catch up. And at Jim Miller Park, we had several improvements at Jim Miller, particularly around the arena, that have gone on hold because public health has been using that building for quite some time for their COVID testing, and now they're using it for vaccines. So there's a number of things that we're going to be doing that we hope to be doing at the arena as soon as all this is over. We'll be able to get back in there. So thanks for your time. Any questions?
First of all, I want to tell you how awesome the park sign was for Discovery Park. The design is really attractive and stands out, and did a nice job on that for sure. What about the sponsorship for signs and parks and such as that? I know y'all have been working on that for a number of years. Have you reached any consensus and decisions?
And Alice, thank you for the compliment about the signs. We're very pleased with that. I'm not really the one that's best suited to answer that. I think I've tried to answer it before, kind of incompletely, but I get the sense that we actually are, believe it or not, closer to that now. We have told me that we're working towards sort of evaluating all of our options there. And 21 this year we'll get much closer to a solution this year.
Are you estimating springish, summerish? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, I'm not the one who has too many thoughts about that, although it's not really my area, but I think that we are getting closer. I'm pretty sure about that. I don't know the answer. I'm sorry.
Okay, who would be the person to contact regarding that?
Well, I would say Michael Brantley. He is our interim director and knows considerably more about everything than I do.
Okay. Could you
I'm
ask
making a note.
him? Okay. Could you ask him to write up a response to the question, just so we know what the plan is and the timeline and what's
I will do
going
that.
on?
Yes, I will. Happy to do that.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Just thank you, and just send it out to us so we're aware of and have an update.
Okay.
All right. Are there any more questions or comments for Parks and Rec?
This is Roger Sandbothy.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, I was kind of curious. What is the status of our historic working farm?
At Hyde Farm?
Yeah, it's going to make planning.
We the status of that, we've been programmed. There's been a lot of programming that we've been able to do out there, even through a lot of the COVID stuff, because it's outside. The question I think you're asking, or the answer I'd like to respond to is, when can we have a farmer there? And the position is open, but I think I'm not sure it's funded yet. But we have a new commissioner there who I think is, I'm not speaking for her, but I understand that she's interested in exploring that. So we hope to be able to have an answer for that too. I'm making another note to find out a little bit more about the status of that.
All right. Any other questions or comments for Tom?
Okay, thanks everybody.
Thank you. All right, next up will be DOT.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all having a great start to 2021. So with that, we're gonna just go through our 05 program, and we are still almost complete. If you can go to the next slide. We have 2 projects that are still remaining, one's in design still, which is our Bob Callan Trail Phase 2. That's a joint project that is with Cumberland CID and Georgia DOT. They're funding that project. We're just managing the project for them. And then we have 1 project remaining in the construction phase. It's our Bells Ferry Road intersection improvement at Turner Road and Dixon Road. And hopefully it will be completed summer of 2021. So with that, we do have a few other outstanding items in our 05 program. As I mentioned, we have the 2 projects that are not closed out yet. Then we have, we just recently closed out all of our utility prior rights with Georgia Power, so that's great. And then we have 5 projects that still have some outstanding right-of-way claims and condemnations. So a total of 7 projects with around $7.4 million as of January 6th. Our goal is, we've been putting together a plan on how to finalize all of those right-of-way claims and knock those out and close this program out before the end of 2022. So that's our goal, is to really push hard on this and make sure we get this closed as quickly as possible. So in the 2011 program, we have a few projects that are still remaining. Out of the 210 projects, we're 97.15% complete. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see that we have these projects that are still in the design phase, which are Lower Roswell, which it's twinned with the Woodland Drive Sidewalks project. Then we have a transit project, which is the signal preemption upgrades. We submitted a grant request application to the Atlanta Regional Commission on that one. And then we also have the park and ride and transfer facilities, which we also submitted grant applications to the ARC on. So those transit facilities for the park and ride locations are going to be the Cumberland Transfer Center. You know, right now there's just they call it a kiss and ride lot that's adjacent to the mall. We're trying to work with the developer at the mall site for an out parcel that facility could be relocated to, along with a newly identified location for the Marietta Transfer Center that would be close to the Northwest Corridor, and an expansion of the maintenance facility where the existing Marietta Transfer Center are. So those are those projects that are in the early design on some of those phases and concept phase. Then we also have the McCullum Parkway sidewalks, which is the Ben King Road to Olympic Lane, which is scheduled to be complete this November. And we have Riverview Road in District 4 that's scheduled for completion summer of 2021. So, next slide, please. So there's still a few outstanding issues in the 11 program. So we have 14 total projects that are still in some phase of not being substantially completed. Then we have 3 that still have utility prior rights issues with Georgia Power, and then 3 that we have some right-of-way claims and condemnations, which that could increase depending on these 14 projects. So out of what we just mentioned, there's 20 total active projects at 21.9 million remaining. And we're going to work really hard to close that program out by the end of 2024. Okay, so if we jump into the 2016 program, we've done I'd say a pretty good job of trying to stay ahead where we plan to be. So out of the 260 projects, we've got 173 that are completed, 40 that are in construction, and then 39 that are in design. And then we have a handful that we'll talk about that we still need to begin some form of concept or design on. We can go to the next slide, please. So this is a location of where all those projects are in the county. So the green, of course, are the projects that are in design, pre-construction, and then the blue are the projects that are in the construction phase. And that was as of December of last year. So, and we mentioned that we have 173 of those projects that have been completed. Okay, next page. So this is just a highlight of one of the projects that Mark had mentioned with the City of Marietta. This is our joint project for the Old 41 Highway Bridge over the CSX Railroad. This is a great project with C.W. Matthews is the contractor, and hopefully completion will be summer of this year, 2021. Next slide, please. This is a new project that's fixing to get going. This is our a complete replacement of the existing bridge over Willio Creek, located by the Bywater Trail and Timber Ridge Road at the Cobb-Fulton County line. It's a joint project with the City of Roswell. I will mention that we are working with the City of Roswell and our communications team to put together a little communication or video for this project, because the bridge will be closed for around 4 to 5 months. That way people understand what the detour will look like, that there will be a closure, and then what the project will look like in the end. Construction should start in March of this year, and then it'll last around a year. Next slide, please. We have another project. This was Ackworth due west at Jim Owens Road at Mars Hill Church Roads. This was a safety and operational improvement. This project, we also worked with the school board for the elementary school at Lewis Elementary, just down the street. We installed this roundabout. We removed an always stop condition. The contractor was Omshev, and we're not substantially complete, but we're pretty close. So we should close this project out this spring. Okay. So this is Hicks Road at Concord Road. It's another safety and operational improvement project. We're adding turn lanes, a signal modification. Of course, there's drainage improvements and pedestrian improvements. This is a project that Baldwin Paving is doing for the county, and it's scheduled for completion summer of 2021. This is Lost Mountain Road at Midway Road, Mirror Lake Road. It was actually completed November of 2020. It looks really nice in District 1. It's a safety and operational improvement where we realigned Lost Mountain Road and Midway Roads, created a four-way signalized intersection, and of course added the signal and then turn lanes. This project was completed by C.W. Matthews, and we recently completed that and it's operational. Next slide, please. So this is just a visual of Old Canton Road at Holly Springs Road. This will also be a safety and operational improvement project. We're going to have pedestrian improvements with some pedestrian refuge islands. We're going to install a little bit of guardrail and some signage and striping. So this project should begin late this month, before the end of the month, and it's a 180-day construction duration. Then this is New Macland Road. So this is a safety and operational improvement project also, and it's on between Arifo Drive and Macland Road. Some minor widening with some turn lanes. We're installing some storm drainage where we had to replace 2 culverts along with the additional storm drainage, and we'll have some pedestrian improvements. So this is another project that Baldwin's doing for the county. It's a larger scale project, so completion should be spring of 2022. Okay. This is Westside Drive. So this is another project in the city of Marietta. We worked with them closely with. It's another roadway safety and operational improvement. We constructed a roundabout at the intersection of Westside Drive and Sandtown Road. We widened and realigned Westside Drive, installed pedestrian improvements. We relocated the signal at South Cobb Drive to the newly realigned Westside Drive, where we removed the signal at Beach. The contractor is Baldwin Paving, and we should be completed with construction this April. Okay, and this is another large project. We were sad that we weren't able to have a groundbreaking ceremony for this project, but we'll definitely, fingers crossed, be in a different place in the fall of 2022 where we'll be able to have a ribbon cutting. So this is our Windy Hill Road, Terrell Mill Road Connector Road. This was a large thoroughfare improvement project where we're constructing a new 4-lane median divided roadway that'll run between Windy Hill Road and Terrell Mill Road, have pedestrian improvements, which include sidewalk on one side of the road and a multi-use trail on the opposite side. This project is being constructed by E.R. Snell. It's a large project, $17.3 million for the construction cost of the project, and it should be constructed and complete fall of 2022. And we'll definitely hold a ribbon cutting on this project, and hopefully maybe at some point take a field trip out there if the group would like. Next slide. This is a sidewalk project for Kenjack Drive. We added a curb and gutter and a 5-foot wide sidewalk on Kenjack between Sandy Plains and McBee Drive. Glosson Enterprises is the contractor, and it should be complete spring of 2021. We have another project. This is Discovery Boulevard sidewalks, where we're adding 5-foot wide sidewalks on both sides of Discovery, and it'll run between Veterans Memorial and Discovery Park at the Riverline. This is Glosson, and it should be complete next month. So what we have planned for this quarter, hopefully we'll have 15 projects complete, 8 drainage, a traffic ops, roadway project, resurfacing projects, and some sidewalk work. We'll start construction on 6 drainage projects. We'll have an intersection improvement and 2 pedestrian projects, and then hopefully our design will have starts for 2 drainage projects and 2 sidewalk projects. So with that, does anyone have any questions?
April, I'm here if the chair, this is Jay. You there?
Go ahead.
Yeah, the roundabout that is going in at McCullum, Ben King,
Yes, sir.
can you give me the parameters of going forward on that and then also maybe tie in the sidewalks on McCullum?
Sure. So do you want to know the project limits or?
Yeah, not the financial piece, but the start, stop, when it's supposed to be done, that kind of stuff. And then exactly when the sidewalks going up McCullum are gonna be
Yeah.
going.
Okay. Let me, can I pull that and email it to you?
Absolutely.
I
Thank
don't want to tell you the wrong dates.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
send it out.
perfect. Just send me an email. Appreciate that, April.
Okay.
Appreciate everything you do.
Yes, sir.
That was an impressive report and a lot of projects going on. Are there any further questions or comments for Erica?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was April. My fault. I don't have pictures there.
Oh, all right. Nothing further for her. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. We're nearing the end of the agenda, and I just want to run through the couple of people that weren't here at the beginning of the meeting. Frank Wigington, Bill Carver, James Brock, Ken Jones, Barkley Russell, Marty Williamson. Are any of y'all on now? Okay, take that as a no. All right. With several new commissioners on board, there may be some changes on our committee, so I just wanted to take a minute and tell each of you that I've enjoyed the opportunity to work with you over the years, and I know the citizens of Cobb County appreciate your time and effort to make sure SPLOST is run effectively and efficiently. Jimmy Geesey, are you online?
Yes, ma'am. Let me get this video so you can see my pretty face.
All right. Thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to touch base and see if there had been any progress made on coming up with some better and uniform signage to put at our bigger SPLOST projects for the public to be able to see without squinting as they drive by, to say, hey, this is a SPLOST project and we're proud that we supported SPLOST. And I know we talked about that back in November.
Yes, we last time we had our staff together talking about it. Most of your larger projects, there is like a project sign that will have the contractor, the county. We actually talked about attaching it to those because most people, when they drive by, they're number one, want to know what it is.
Yeah.
So they start looking at the project sign itself, and we're gonna, if it's 6 to 8 foot wide, attach one to that, to where as they're looking to find out what it is, they also see that it's a 2016 or hopefully 2022 project as well.
Okay.
So that's what we're looking to do.
Well, that's encouraging. So maybe when you get a mock-up, you could send out a couple for us to look at and see if we had any feedback.
It will incorporate the 2016 and then the 2022 SPLOST logo, of course.
Okay, good.
We do try to brand it all the same. So
Okay,
we'll definitely send that out to you.
that would be great. All right. Any other business we haven't taken care of besides election of officers? Any comments or questions? I did want to say that when we get through COVID that we have a lot of projects that have come on board in the last year that we didn't get to tour or visit. And I hope that we will be able to do that later on this year, maybe do a afternoon tour or something like that to cover some of the bigger projects. So we'll have something to look forward to and be able to see what all SPLOST has done for the county over the last year.
Madam
All
Chair, I
right.
have a question.
Sure.
Maybe I direct this, Alice, to Jimmy. I think that the idea of the signs, like Alice was saying, is important. And it's especially important as we get towards the next vote, to make sure we've got this, if we're going to do it, if we've got it in place. And because I think it means a big in the vote direction of positive towards continuing the SPLOST stuff if people are seeing it and identifying it. So I definitely shoot for, I know the wheels turn slowly, but shoot towards the next vote of making sure that we've, prior to that we've got these signs nailed, if that's possible.
Oh, absolutely. Jay, actually, prior to the vote on the 2022, there was a very concerted effort to get more signs out to even not just the big ones, the medium to smaller size projects as well. So I know a ton of them were printed and staff were getting them out. So you're absolutely right, because if they don't, it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. If they don't understand where it came from, they're less apt to vote for it next time.
And I'm sure very appreciative of all your efforts in getting those signs out. I think again, you build up towards the vote in a way, but you also want to be telling people as much as we can what we're doing and what it is. Because I think there is a general lack of what is that, or why did that happen kind of thing. They see all this stuff, but telling them and making them aware that this is the positive piece of their yes vote, essentially.
All they got to do is talk to Tommy Alligood. He'll tell them.
Yeah. This is Sally Riddle. Just one more thing, as I've been thinking about what you were describing. From a marketing perspective, those large signs are already so crowded,
right?
That with information. So I'm going to use the police training center as an example. And so, if there's frontage available, to have a separate sign, separate from the contractor sign, I think would be much more advisable, because I'll tell you, when I drive by those large signs, I barely glance at them. But something that's attractive and decent sized that tells me that that's my SPLOST dollars at work is something that's really going to draw my attention more. So from a marketing perspective, I'm not sure the approach you're talking about is the most effective.
What, Sally, if I've spoken in saying that it would be incorporated into that sign, I apologize.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood then.
It would be right beside it, attached to it, to ask.
Okay.
When people are looking to see what the project is, lo and behold, there's a sign the same size right beside it that says a SPLOST project.
Thank you for the clarification.
I thought you said neon and lighted electrical and everything.
That's just my South Georgia E's coming through. I'm sorry.
All right. Anything further for Jimmy or the committee? All right. Well, I look forward to seeing the mock-ups for the signs y'all are contemplating to put at the projects around the county. And now we will move on to election of officers. And I haven't had a chance to speak with Marlene. Marlene, are you willing to continue as secretary?
Yes.
All right. Is there a motion for Marlene to continue as secretary of our committee?
Jay makes a motion.
Second.
All right. There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Marlene, congratulations. It's unanimous. Thank you for serving again as secretary.
At least I was present, not in the hospital this time.
We are proud to have you with us today for sure. Vice Chair Frank had a last minute meeting come up, but I did get to talk with him and he is willing to continue as Vice Chair. Are there any other nominations for Vice Chair? All right, hearing none, is there a motion to nominate Frank as Vice Chair?
To Sally, so moved.
Nominate Frank.
All right, I believe I heard a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? All right, Frank will be delighted to know he's been re-elected as Vice Chair. And lastly is Chair. And I have enjoyed serving as your chairwoman. And are there any nominations for Chair?
I nominate Alice.
I second.
All right. I didn't hear any other names, so a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 And any opposed? All right. I will continue for another year as your chair, and I appreciate your vote of support. And if there's nothing further, I wish you all good health and a happy new year. And we're
Thank you.
adjourned.
Likewise.
Same here. Take
All
care.
right. Take
Take
care.
care. Stay
Bye-bye.
healthy.
Thanks. Bye-bye.